Natural English. Learn English like a native.
Let's talk about something around you. You need to practice speaking English about anything you see to improve your English. Part 1. Listen to the story slowly.
Swing. Lisa was bouncing on the path. She saw a squirrel. The squirrel sat on a branch. Lisa skipped over it. The squirrel watched Lisa skip over it. The squirrel scampered away. It ran up a tree. Lisa giggled. She giggled as the squirrel climbed. Lisa reached a playground. She climbed on the swing. The squirrel followed her. It chased her to the swing. Lisa swung back and forth. The squirrel couldn't swing. Lisa shouted, "Swing, swing." The squirrel chattered, but didn't swing.
Part 2. Vocabulary.
Squirrel. 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 A small animal with a thick, furry tail that climbs trees and eats nuts. Example. She saw a squirrel. The squirrel watched Lisa skip over it. Branch. 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 One of the many parts of a tree that grow out from the main part. Example. The squirrel sat on a branch. He cut some branches off the oak tree. Skip. 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 To not do something that you usually do. Example. The squirrel watched Lisa skip over it. I skipped lunch and went shopping instead. Scamper. 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 To run quickly and lightly. Example. I shouted and the dog scampered off. The squirrel scampered away. Giggle. 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 To laugh in a nervous or silly way. Example. Lisa giggled. She giggled as the squirrel climbed. Swing. 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 A chair hanging on two ropes that children sit on and swing backwards and forwards. Example. She climbed on the swing. It chased her to the swing. 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 To move smoothly backwards and forwards, or to make something do this. Example. Lisa swung back and forth. The squirrel couldn't swing.
Part 3. Listen to the story normally.
Swing. Lisa was bouncing on the path. She saw a squirrel. The squirrel sat on a branch. Lisa skipped over it. The squirrel watched Lisa skip over it. The squirrel scampered away. It ran up a tree. Lisa giggled. She giggled as the squirrel climbed. Lisa reached a playground. She climbed on the swing. The squirrel followed her. It chased her to the swing. Lisa swung back and forth. The squirrel couldn't swing. Lisa shouted, "Swing, swing." The squirrel chattered, but didn't swing.
Part 4. Ask and answer.
Was Lisa bouncing on the path? Yes, Lisa was bouncing on the path. Where was Lisa bouncing on? Lisa was bouncing on the path. Did Lisa see a squirrel? Yes, Lisa saw a squirrel. What did Lisa see on the path? Lisa saw a squirrel on the path. Did the squirrel sit on a branch? Yes, the squirrel sat on a branch. Where did the squirrel sit? The squirrel sat on a branch. Did Lisa skip over the squirrel? Yes, Lisa skipped over the squirrel. How did Lisa skip over the squirrel? Lisa skipped over the squirrel on the branch. Did the squirrel watch Lisa skip over it? Yes, the squirrel watched Lisa skip over it. What did the squirrel do when Lisa skipped over it? The squirrel watched Lisa skip over it. Did the squirrel scamper away? Yes, the squirrel scampered away. Where did the squirrel go after Lisa skipped over it? The squirrel scampered away and ran up a tree. Did Lisa giggle when the squirrel climbed? Yes, Lisa giggled when the squirrel climbed.
What did Lisa do when the squirrel climbed the tree? Lisa giggled as the squirrel climbed the tree. Did Lisa reach a playground? Yes, Lisa reached a playground. Where did Lisa reach after the squirrel climbed? Lisa reached a playground. Did Lisa climb on the swing? Yes, Lisa climbed on the swing. What did Lisa do on the playground? Lisa climbed on the swing. Did the squirrel follow Lisa to the swing? Yes, the squirrel followed her to the swing. What did the squirrel do after reaching the playground? The squirrel followed Lisa to the swing. Could the squirrel swing back and forth? No, the squirrel couldn't swing back and forth. What did the squirrel try to do on the swing? The squirrel tried to swing but couldn't. Did Lisa shout, "Swing, swing"? Yes, Lisa shouted, "Swing, swing." What did Lisa shout while swinging? Lisa shouted, "Swing, swing." Did the squirrel swing when Lisa shouted? No, the squirrel chattered but didn't swing. How did the squirrel respond to Lisa's shouting? The squirrel chattered but didn't swing.
Part 5. Listen to the story without any words.
Swing. Lisa was bouncing on the path. She saw a squirrel. The squirrel sat on a branch. Lisa skipped over it. The squirrel watched Lisa skip over it. The squirrel scampered away. It ran up a tree. Lisa giggled. She giggled as the squirrel climbed. Lisa reached a playground. She climbed on the swing. The squirrel followed her. It chased her to the swing. Lisa swung back and forth. The squirrel couldn't swing. Lisa shouted, swing, swing. The squirrel chattered, but didn't swing.
Okay, that is the end of the lesson. If you have any questions about the lesson, please comment below this video. Please subscribe to our channel to listen to more lessons whenever and wherever you want. Just listen to our short stories and answer the easy question out loud. You will improve your listening and speaking skills fast. And that's all, for now. See you at the next lesson on the Natural English channel.